Dr. Ebony Stone, and this is the Black Woman in the Corner Office. Hello, 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 and welcome to the Black Woman in the Corner Office. I'm your host, Dr. Ebony Stone, and as always, I am delighted to be here with you this evening. I have a very special guest, and I'm looking forward to getting into her story. As you know, we're covering the journeys of Black women in workplaces across the country. And so before I introduce our guest, you know what I'm going to ask you to do. Go ahead below. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like and comment. All right. All right. So today's guest is Miss Kimberly Nelms. She is the CEO of ATK Innovations. That stands for All Things Kimberly. And she has a podcast, she has books, she's a speaker, she's a coach, and she is a purpose discovery coach. That's something that I had never heard of before meeting Kimberly. So we'll dig into what exactly a purpose discovery coach is. And Kim is passionate about empowering individuals on their journey for personal growth, health, healing, and discovering their purpose. Her work resonates with those who are seeking inspiration through stories of resilience and faith. Welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Absolutely, absolutely. How are you?
I am great.
Good. So we met probably about a year ago. Had the honor of taking the stage with Kim at the Leadership Experience Tour.
Mhm.
And I've gotten to learn a lot more about her. So I was delighted when she agreed to be on the podcast, and we're going to dig in. There's some things that I have learned that Kim is going to share with us that many of us have experienced and talk about just really what it meant for her on her journey in the workplace, right? So with that said, let's jump into it. Why don't we spend just a few minutes talking about what your journey in the workplace has looked like? You can go back. I always say this. You can go back as far as you want to. You can go back like to, I don't know. I've had guests say, "Well, I started working when I was 14," or you can start after, you know, whatever time you find significant. So tell us a little bit about your career and what that journey looked like.
Okay, absolutely. So I like to start. I did start working when I was 15, actually. So I've been working a long time. I'm tired now. I need to go ahead on and retire. But I started out in healthcare, ironically, and I've kind of stuck with that career field for a long time. I started doing home health care, and I was like doing it with I had a couple of clients at the home, and then I ended up going to work at the hospital. I've worked at several hospitals since then, and this was maybe what 19. Oh Lord, I'm telling my age, Lord.
All right.
1995, 96.
Listen, why did I see a shirt today on a post that said, "Be patient with me. I was born in the 1900s."
Oh God, not the 1900s.
And I'm like, "Well, I was born in the 1900s." It's crazy that
Not
that
the
seems
early
so long
1900s.
ago. And I'm like, I was
It
born in the
does.
1900s. That was not that long ago. 1974 for me was not that long ago. But
Girl,
yeah,
it's been a while. I feel like we done put in our time, honestly. See,
yeah,
you think about it, it's been a long time. I'm serious. But
yeah.
yeah, so I've been in healthcare for over 24 years. I've done patient care, I've done data entry, I've done revenue cycle management for the last 10 years, plus medical coding and billing. And what I would say is that the journey has been very interesting. I did know earlier that I did want to be in the healthcare field. I actually wanted to be a nurse, and I think I remember what we talked about earlier.
Yep.
I wanted to be a nurse, but I am a way too empathetic of a person to deal with patient care directly because I'm a super duper empath, and I just couldn't handle it. So I said, okay, let me go to the back side and work on the back end because I don't know that I can handle this emotionally. It was a lot
Right.
for me. So in
Yes.
doing that, I started my little cubicle jobs and all that, and I did that for a while, and I was content. And then I just kind of started feeling this feeling like, okay, I got to do something else. I'm uncomfortable, like I feel like God is calling me to do something else. And I would dare to say that I did, start out doing a couple of other things, event planning, a couple of things that I just really enjoy doing.
Mhm.
And along that journey, I ended up getting to kind of speaking, and it kind of came about in a funny way, which is so weird. I was working at a facility, and I was let go. I was like, okay, God, what are you calling me to do? Because I feel like you're calling me to do something, and I don't know what it is. And I stumbled across Master Storytelling Academy. And I was
Mm.
like, well, maybe it's not the right time, blah, 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 talk myself out of it as we always do. I'm like, I don't want to really put this money into something right now, being that I'm not working. And I went back, I was like, I gotta get another job. You know how we have our mindset is like we have to work. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
we have to have a 9 to 5. Like it
Yes.
ain't right if we don't. So like
Yes.
thinking like that, I kept trying to find another job, got another job, got let go again. I was like, okay, God, now you can't let me get these jobs. So what's going on? And so I was like, okay, I feel like you're calling me to jump out and start my own thing, do something else. There around that time I started doing my podcast and I wrote my book, so those things kind of just like led to me, telling my stories of the traumas that I've gone through, which, I pulled from my book
Mhm.
about healing, deliverance. And came across the Master Storyteller Academy again. And I was like,
Mm.
okay, God, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna do it. Like I get it. My bad. I should have done it then, but I'm good now. I got it. I got it. So I
Listen,
did
he
that.
will
Listen,
continue to put that lesson in front of you
girl,
until you
you're like,
learn it. I was
okay,
talking about that yesterday, like, I don't wanna learn this lesson no more. I'm sorry.
girl, I'm telling you. Sometimes, just that fear, fear
Yeah.
has us just stuck,
Well,
and
before we get into the Master Storyteller
Mhm,
Academy, because I wanna hear that story, I wanna back up a little
mhm.
bit. You talked about 2 things that I wanna hit in. I don't wanna dig too deeply, but I really
Okay.
appreciate you recognizing your gifts, your
Mhm.
talents, and where they would best be utilized because I too
Mm.
could not be on the front lines
Yeah.
nursing. I appreciate all of our healthcare providers, but I too am an empath. I'm way too emotional for that. So thank you for recognizing, that and letting people know. I think it's important that our audience knows that is not a failure. That is a win
It's not.
to
It's not.
recognize where
Yeah.
your strengths can be best utilized and recognize if you're in the wrong place and move yourself
Yeah.
to the right place, right? That's the first thing. And the second thing, you said you lost 2 jobs. Um,
Oh, girl.
2 jobs. So I happen to know, and I know our listeners, our audience does not know, you lost 2 jobs, but
Mhm.
in the midst of that, you were raising a child, right? And that
Well, I wasn't raising this time at a job at that time. This was a
okay,
more
got you. This
about
was before your son.
this was before my
Okay,
time.
got
But
it.
to go back, I left a job when I was a single mother. And, I just kind of felt like I was complacent at this job. I'd been there for like 7 years. It just wasn't any growth. It wasn't anything. I just felt like, okay, I'm going to go out and try to do something else. So I did do like attempt to hire position, which
Okay.
needless to say, that didn't work out. So I'm like, okay, so, I'm out here, ain't got no job. I got a child to raise. I got all these bills. And I just, at that time, I was just really building my faith. Like I was just really, getting closer to God. I gave my life to God and I was like, okay, God, so I'm a faithful tither. I give. I am faithful. I go to church. I put you, I try to put you first above all things. I'm not perfect by any means, but I'm out here trying. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, so you said in your word that never seen the righteous forsaken. So like I stood on that scripture and I was like, okay, God, let me see what you're gonna do because I trust in you. My faith is in you, and your word says this, so I'm gonna stand on that. And
Yeah.
girl, let me tell you, I didn't miss a beat. I didn't miss a beat. and ended up getting a job making the most I've ever made in my life after that.
Tell me a little bit about what it's like. I know what it's like, and I preach it
Hmm.
all the time, but I would
Yeah.
love to hear from somebody else
Yeah.
what it is like to be in the workplace standing on your faith, right? Because these workplaces would have
Hmm.
you, if they could, turn your back on your faith, right? They're like, it's not appropriate to in the workplace. And I'm like, you can't have me if you don't get my faith. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that is everything.
Yeah. It was hard. I will say that because well, no, I feel like I know that when you are trying to live right, the enemy's going to come at you in all different ways, any way he can. So, he's going to use those people on your job. He's going to use your supervisors. He's going to use your coworkers. He's going to do everything he can to agitate you and to just frustrate you, and to keep you distracted so that you can't, recognize your purpose or recognize why you are there. Because sometimes you're there to show them what it looks like to live to walk that path in life, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah.
and not saying that anybody's perfect or anybody's better, but sometimes you're there to be a light. And
Yes.
it's hard. Sometimes that's a hard path to travel, honey. I'm telling you, spiritual warfare is real. And but sometimes, God places us in places for the right moment and the right time. I can remember a coworker just kind of went through a lot when I was working, and she just like lost people back to back to back to back. And like my instinct was like, go pray with her. And
Mhm.
we weren't even the best of friends, or I don't even know if she liked me, but I was like, you know what, God, you're calling me to go and pray for her in this moment. And I would just go take her, go in the bathroom, pray for her, and just kind of pray over her because that that was just like what I felt like I needed to do in those moments. So I'm like, okay, so I see, why you have me here. And even though I'm, dealing with spiritual warfare here, it's a greater purpose. It's bigger than me.
Yes. Yes. The spiritual warfare, like you said, is real and it doesn't stop at the door when you walk in to your job. It follows it
Carolyn,
is
I
everywhere,
have to write a
right?
book. I can write a book on that.
Yeah. Please do. It
Woo,
is
girl.
needed. It is needed. It is needed. So we've kind of jumped around a bit, but to
Yeah.
kind of sum things up, right? You started out in nursing, kind of stayed in the medical field,
Yeah.
um, but behind the scenes after
Yeah.
you left patient care,
Yeah.
um, you have had a few jobs, right?
Yes.
Couple that you were let go from, some that you left,
Hmm.
that whole thing.
Hmm.
What
Yeah.
would you say was the biggest obstacle for you as a Black woman in these workplaces, especially in healthcare?
Ooh, ooh, that's good. I think it's hard for us because when I look back over my corporate experience, as an African American woman, it's hard just being a woman in the workplace in this day and time. You have the males, and then you have, you know, other race, and then you have us. It's like we're at the bottom of the totem pole, it feels like. And it
Yes.
just feels like we're constantly fighting and struggling for our place, for our voice, and to be heard and to be respected in the workplace.
Mhm.
So that's a struggle that I've often had. I will say I know God has called me to speak because I was always a talker in school. Like I would always get in trouble for talking. Like I'm like, no, the Lord called me here to talk because
Yeah.
clearly I've been doing it all my life. So I'm like, He gonna say something through me. It's something that He wants me to say. So I just really had to find my voice and stand on that and not allow people or situations to intimidate me or to cause me to back down.
Gotcha.
So
If you were talking to someone who was, let's say, traveling a very similar path to you and
yeah.
they were trying to find their voice and stand on that, stand in their voice, what advice would you have for them?
Well, I think they would just need recognize what are you pulling your strength from. Like
Mm,
I said, my faith helped me. That was
yes.
a humongous imperative part of my stance.
Yes,
So first and foremost, you have to know yourself, know what it is that you're called to do, hence your purpose. Know where you're pulling your strength from, and stand on that, pull from that, and that's going to help you to do what you need to do and what God
absolutely,
has
and
called you to
for sure. And like I like to tell people,
do. Yeah,
go ahead and take that pause, right? Wrote a
yeah,
whole book about it, the power of the pause.
I love it.
Sometimes you
Oh,
got to
so
stop and
powerful.
you got to pull away so that you
Girl,
can hear clearly what the next steps are. So you can hear clearly how to stand in your voice, right? So you can literally analyze and understand what's going on. Sometimes when we're in the day-to-day grind, we can't even
mhm,
stop to think, to
mhm,
understand, to strategize for ourselves. And so
yeah,
I think it's important to stand in the pause, right?
absolutely.
Before you move forward. So thank you for that advice though. Thank you for saying understand where you're pulling your strength
Yeah,
from.
yeah,
Sometimes I don't even think, Kim, I honestly don't even think we stop to understand that. We get on this treadmill, this day
yeah.
to day. I got to do this. I got to raise these kids. I got to make sure they
Mhm,
have what they need. I got to do this. I got to do
mhm,
that. And so, literally, the alarm clock goes off 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. We hit it and we go. We don't even stop to understand where we're pulling the strength that we have from.
yeah,
I so appreciate that answer. So, tell me, let's get back to the storytellers. What was that second time? I take it was the second time that you decided to get involved.
yeah.
Um and you said you were like, "Okay, God, I hear you. I'm going to learn this lesson." What was that experience like?
That was an eye-opening experience for me because prior to writing my book, I had some of the things that I put in there I'd never verbalized out loud for one to myself or anybody else.
I know that feeling.
So, girl, it's hard. I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to write that.
Yeah.
Um, so it was eye-opening and it was healing for me. Just learning how to tell
Mhm.
my story in a way where I don't leave people heavy
Yeah.
because you don't want to do that. You don't want to walk out of a room and leave them with their baggage and your baggage. No, that's not what you're there for. You're there to alleviate them with from
Mhm.
their baggage by telling them yours and how you overcame it. So just learning that was like pivotal for me, and
I
I
think
feel
that's
like
the
I
key,
needed to
right?
go through it.
I'm
Yes,
sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I
yes,
think that's the key. You gotta tell
yeah.
your story. People can't be out here believing like Kim just got it all together. She ain't never had a
Girl, she
problem.
don't.
Ebony ain't never had a problem. I gotta tell you the story, but then I gotta tell you how I overcame.
But then,
Right? That's the key to it. So you don't
yeah,
leave with my baggage and yours,
yeah.
as you said.
You don't want to trauma dump. That's the word for it. You don't want to
Yes,
trauma dump. That's not good. But
yes,
you do have to tell your story because your story is not only for you, it's for somebody else. Just what we go through is rarely for us. It is mostly for us to help other people overcome. But
yes,
you have to know how to do it, you
yes.
know. So that I learned a lot in doing that. And shout out to that because that then led to me speaking for the first time in Maryland at the Refueling on Fire with Dr. Marcia Whitaker. That was like my first time on stage. I mean, I've been on stages and public
Yeah, yeah,
speaking in different, atmosphere environments like, church and corporate and things like that. But as far as getting on a stage in front of a room of people and being vulnerable,
yeah.
that was my first time doing that. And it was really, really emotional for me because telling my story that I told, uh, you don't know how people are going to take you. People are very judgmental. They can be like, oh, well, you shouldn't have done that, or if you hadn't done this, or and the enemy beats us up enough. We don't need that. You know what I'm saying? We
Right.
already have condemnation from him, so we don't need that from our peers or people that we're trying to, help. So it was just a breaking moment for me, I will say.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you were able to do it with Dr. Marcia. Listen, I
Yeah,
am a huge believer in Black women supporting
yeah,
each other
yeah,
because, like you said, we don't need the judgment. The world is judging us enough. Right?
Yes,
I heard it once
absolutely.
said that we as black women, some of our
Mm.
counterparts who are not black women are
Yeah.
judged by their biggest success, right? And they get to
Ooh.
ride that success. We as black women are judged by our last success or failure, whatever that was. So
Mm.
I can accomplish whatever I want to accomplish. I can
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
one mistake and the
Yeah.
world starts judging us. So we need our sisters building us up. We need
Yeah.
folks saying things like our last conversation when you were like,
Mm.
Ebony, I hope you get back on stages. And I was like, oh, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I
Yes,
just got some things going on, right? But we
girl.
need to hear
Yeah, we do.
those types of things, we need to hear them not just from anybody, but from our
That's
sisters.
true.
So I'm so glad that that was kind of the turning point for you and you were
Yeah.
able to do that in that space because she is such
Yeah.
a inspirational
Yeah.
person, but
Yeah.
that's not the word I'm looking for.
Empowering,
Um
motivating.
Empowering. She is extremely
Yeah.
empowering. Yep,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the word because you can inspire anybody, but
Absolutely.
very authentic as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Huge.
I'm sensing that's kind of when this you start dipping
Yeah.
your toe off into
Yeah.
entrepreneurship and
Yep.
the stamina is not the word I'm looking for.
Momentum.
Momentum. Thank you. Okay, y'all, listen. Hold on one second. Just before we started this podcast, we were talking about perimenopause, and I'm gonna
Girl,
tell y'all, it
it's
will take the
real.
words right out your brain. Like, it will take the
But you know
words
what's
right
so
out.
funny? I be around the house, be like, oh, what's the word? I'm like, babe, you know what I'm talking about? Da, 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 da. What's the word I'm looking for? But I'm helping you, but I can't help myself. Look at that. See what I'm talking about? You can't help myself. But I'm here.
Listen,
I got you.
appreciate it. We're gonna have to do a whole interview with somebody, some
Listen,
expert on perimenopause because didn't nobody tell us about that.
I need
But
something. I need a
momentum,
cure. I need a cure, girl. I'm telling you, I can't handle it.
right?
Ugly.
Momentum is the word I was looking for. I'm
Yeah.
sensing that's when the momentum
Yeah.
in the entrepreneurial realm started for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Okay.
kept feeling like I was like, okay, like I feel like God is calling me to speak. And I was like, and so my sister, and I'm, hearing this, but see, I'm a person where I'm like, okay, I feel like God is saying this, but Lord, are you really saying this? Show me, like, give me confirmation. Like, I want to make sure, you know what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
you gotta try to make sure you fine tune in that ear. So I was like,
Yep.
okay. I was telling my husband, I was like, man, I feel like God is calling me to speak. Da 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 da. I did storyteller academy. I kept losing the jobs, and then I, speaking on the stage. And even before that, I had a dream where I was speaking on the stage, and I was like, okay, God, okay. And so I
Mm.
kept hearing it, and my sister reached out to me. I was like, and she said, I can't remember her words verbatim, but basically, God told me that you're gonna be speaking to. I said, girl, I said, you know what, you ain't, don't even say nothing else. I already know. That's confirmation I needed. I was like,
Yeah.
I got it. I'm on it. I'm on it. So I was like, okay, guys. So I'm hearing clearly, because I really like to make sure that I'm doing that in all things because
Okay.
I ain't got time to be wasting out here. Listen, life is short, and I want to
Yeah.
make sure that I'm on the path that He has me on. So,
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yes. So you got into speaking. You wrote a book. You're
yeah.
speaking. You got a podcast. You're coaching. How about you tell our audience all about what Kimberly is doing now? Right. You were in the medical field, but what are
Yeah.
you doing now in the
Well,
entrepreneurial realm, and how can they get in touch with you?
um, so I am still, fortunately and unfortunately, I'm still in the medical field until the Lord pulls me out. I'm ready,
Yeah.
Lord, anytime. But
Okay.
yeah, I just kind of like feel like I've been called to, help people to get over their traumas, to like deal with their traumas, get healed, get delivered. Because in our community, therapy is such a stigma. People look
Oh
at
my
therapy
goodness.
as such
Yes.
a bad thing. But honey, let me tell you, therapy will bless your life. You
Yes,
know,
it will.
I'm a firm believer. You need Jesus and therapy. I believe in both because he put them here to help us. So we might need to
Yes,
utilize that. And
yes.
it was life changing for me because in writing my book, I things that I didn't even know I was dealing with, like kind of came up to the surface.
Hmm.
Me remembering things that I went through as a child, and I was like, dang, that really did happen. Like I completely it's crazy how our mind will suppress memories,
Yes, it
you
will.
know, bad memories, and we don't even remember them until like something triggers us. And I'm like, oh my God, like, girl, that's a lot. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
um I really I had to get therapy. I really did because it was a lot for me. It was very overwhelming.
yeah,
Just dealing with that stuff, becoming a wife, from an independent, being a single mom, taking care of everything, not having to really depend on anybody else. It was a
hmm,
hard transition for me because I was like, okay, girl, you gotta back up a little bit. Like, you don't have to do everything now,
right.
and we as women, a lot of us, we'll just do, 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 do.
Hmm.
We can't do it all,
No, no.
unfortunately.
Yes, yes. So one, we've mentioned the book multiple times. Tell us the name of the book and where we can find it.
Okay. So Sever the Ties, the road to deliverance is on Amazon, on my website as well, allthingskimberly.org, and just basically talks about the different things that we deal with that we may need healing from, romantic relationships, childhood trauma, generational curses, just all those things that kind of keep us bound. And
Yes,
if we're bound, we're not able to reach the purpose that God has for us.
right.
Those
Yes,
are a lot of the things that keep us stuck, and from reaching our purpose. And we all have a purpose, so
yes,
you want to
yes.
make sure
We
that
do.
you live your life and that you actually find your purpose and walk in it.
Yes. So grab Sever the Ties. We'll put the links below.
Okay. I
Tell them
have a
about the
prayer journal.
podcast.
Kimberly Speaking Podcast. That came about. I had a dream, and God was like, "Yeah, you need to do a podcast." I was like, "I'm not doing a podcast," and I just kind of started doing stuff. Girl, I was like, "Lord, you got me." I was like, "I really know what I'm doing," but it's grown. I started out just audio, and then I kind of graduated to the video, and doing a little things. So I'm really excited because I really like just having a platform for people that are doing great things in the community, doing great things in the kingdom,
Yes,
just out here helping people. So I really like giving that platform to people, anybody, authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, just anybody with a story. I just love just finding more out about people because you never know what somebody's going
you never know.
through.
Listen,
Girl, I'm telling you.
I
Whew,
learned so much about people, and I promise it seems like, and not it seems like it is, the people you know are so interesting, and the
yeah,
people you don't know are just as interesting, and they want to tell their stories, right?
yeah.
And somebody needs to hear it.
Somebody out
Somebody needs
there.
to hear that story. So
Absolutely.
you got the book, you got the podcast, coaching programs. I'm assuming we can find them on your website. Tell us about your coaching
Yep.
program.
All things Kimberly.org. So God has helped me to be able to just see the gifts in people and the things that he has called them to do that they're great at. And I really like helping people to like discover that, find out what that is. And like I said, anything that's kind of preventing them from walking into that or even being able to operate in that effectively because you can be operating in it, but it doesn't mean that you're effective because sometimes
Right.
we have, those past traumas, different things that we need to be healed and delivered from in order to be great. So like that is a big passion of mine, is just helping people to deal with past, traumas, anything that is keeping us stuck.
Okay. Got it. And
Yeah.
then well, not the last question, but last but not least, in this
Mhm.
realm, where can our listeners find you speaking next? I know you got some speaking engagements coming up. So
Yes,
where
I
can they find you?
do. Okay, so in July the 26th, I'm going to be in Georgia and the at the Elevate and Lace Up conference with Shaquilla
Yeah.
Matthews down there in Georgia. And the flyer is on my website, all my social media handles as well. And I have the Align and Thrive Summit coming up in August. It's going to be in Huntersville, North Carolina, which is just outside of Charlotte. I'm going to have speakers, vendors. It's going to be a great time. I'm so excited and I'm so ready to see what God is going to do. So we are aligning and thriving in 2025, and we're gearing up for the fourth quarter, and we're going to finish strong and
Yes.
step into 2026 and what God has for us.
Yes, I love that. I love that. So, last question before we wrap up. This really is the last question. I ask all of my guests this, right?
Mhm.
And so it might take you a moment. So
Okay.
think really hard.
Okay.
We've talked about your life's journey. We've talked
Mhm.
about the things that made you push into the entrepreneurial realm and do the things that you're doing. If somebody approached you tomorrow and they said, Kim, we want to write a story about your life, what do you think the title of the movie should be if we're doing a movie? And if you know who you want to play you, who should that be?
Oh my God, it's so crazy because I was just listening to that this morning on a radio show. Okay, so it's so funny. Oh gosh, girl, that's good. That's real good. I like it. Okay, let me think. Hmm. I would say perfectly imperfect.
Perfectly imperfect. And
Yes.
who would it star? Do you know?
Yes, I do. So, even when I was small, I always got told that I looked like Keisha Knight Podium, Rudy. So
Mm,
she will play my biopic, and she's a great
okay.
actress. So
So
I like
perfectly imperfect,
perfectly
starring
imperfect.
Keisha Knight Pulliam as Kimberly
Yes,
Nelms, right? You gonna
absolutely.
have
So
Rudy play
tell
you, huh?
Harry, I'm ready. Just come on, call me, honey. I'm ready. I can get to Georgia. It's not a problem. We can make this happen. Okay.
You
But
make it
yeah.
happen. Yes, yes, yes. Well, Kimberly, thank you so much for sharing your
Thank
story.
you.
Right. I think it is so important. I am walking away from this conversation reminded that it is okay to figure out where your strengths are and recognize that you are not in the right place. Move yourself into the right place to then
Listen.
find your voice and stand in that, to remember where your power comes from
Yes.
every single day. And then push into that power, push into
Yes.
that passion. Because spiritual warfare is real
Yes.
and it is everywhere. But when you remember where your power comes from, when you
Yes.
remember that you are here and that you are assigned a purpose,
Yes.
then you can handle anything. So
Absolutely.
I absolutely thank you for being here. We're going to put all of your information in the show notes below. I wish you the best of luck in all your upcoming ventures. I'm looking forward to seeing you speaking in those events or at least seeing
Thank
some clips from
you.
them. And to all
Yes.
of our listeners, until next time, you know what to do. Keep spreading that black girl magic on everything you do. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.